One. Good morning. Uh, Good morning, everyone. Before I call the meeting to order, have a couple of just recognitions and introductions. I think we have a number of members of the Exchange Club here, and if you all would mind, just stand and let us recognize you all, members of the Jackson Exchange Club. Thank you all for being here this morning. Then also, we have, somebody informed me we have 3 mayors sitting up here at the platform this morning. Let me introduce to you our mayor for the day, Joshua Ray. Joshua, you may want to stand up. Joshua is 8 years old. He's a second grader at St. Mary's. And we're blessed to have his father and mother and grandmother here this morning. Daniel Ray is here. Cecilia Ray, his mother, and grandmother is Rosita Velasco, visiting Jackson, Tennessee from the Philippines. So if you all would just stand, would you? Thank you all for being here and being a part of this. Josh and I just finished cookies and apple juice upstairs, and we're ready to get our meeting underway. So we'll call to order the April 5th, 2016 meeting of the Jackson City Council.
You can let him hit the gavel. Let him hit the gavel.
Don't hit it too hard because it knocked the sound off. Good, thank you. If you would, let's have the invocation and pledge led by Ernest Brooks II. If you would, please rise.
Good morning. Will you all please join me in a moment of silent meditation, followed by a recitation of the Lord's Prayer. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nita, if you can, I think you should show all council members present. Item 4 is the approval of minutes of the March 1st, 2016 City Council meeting. Council members have received a copy of those minutes, and if there are no corrections, no additions or deletions, we'll go ahead and accept those without objection. Item 5 is the invitation for public comment, and I know we have some people here who would love to be heard. We'll on any item under new business, and once we get to that item, if you would want to address the council, please let me know, and I'll be happy to call on you at that time, okay? We have 2 proclamations this morning to be delivered, and the mayor and I will come down to the podium, and I think our first one, Prevention of Child Abuse Month, Sherry Cole. Sherry's Director of Services for Madison County, the Carl Perkins Center for Prevention of Child Abuse. So Sherry and anyone you want to bring down, I'll meet you down at the podium. Thank you all for being here this morning. This is a proclamation whereas we need to recognize that child abuse and neglect is a serious and growing problem that changes life's path for nearly 4 million of our nation's children annually. Whereas this problem, which has reached epidemic proportion in all regions of our nation, respects no racial, religious, socioeconomic, geographic boundaries, and can prevent children from following the road to a successful future. And whereas we need to take steps to educate the public on child abuse and its causes. And whereas the Exchange Club, Carl Perkins Center for the Prevention of Child Abuse, is participating in the National Child Abuse Prevention efforts throughout their awareness campaign with the Dr. Seuss theme, "A person's a person, no matter how small." Now, therefore, we, Jerry Gist, Mayor of the City of Jackson, Tennessee, and Jimmy Harris, Mayor of the County of Madison, Tennessee, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2016 as Child Abuse Prevention Month and encourage all citizens to observe this time to better understand, recognize, and respond to this grievous problem as the center helps to strengthen families and prevent abuse. Now we further commend the Exchange Club, Carl Perkins Center for the Prevention of Child Abuse, for its continued success in helping families break free from the cycle of abuse and urge full public support of their successful efforts. In witness whereof, we hereunto set our hands and cause the seal, the City of Jackson, Tennessee, and Madison County, Tennessee, to be affixed this 5th day of April 2016. Certainly want to thank the Exchange Club, the Carl Perkins Center, for everything you do, and it's my honor to present this to you all.
Thank you so very much, and we're excited about our theme this year, a person's a person, no matter how small, because after all, this is our future. And thankfully, we have some children that we can be so very proud of. The other thing I'd like to do is introduce our incredible staff. Some of them attended, Tabitha, Kayleen, Megan, and Andrea. They work so hard every day to protect children. And the last thing I want to say, in Dr. Seuss's words, to tie in with the month of miracles, unless someone like you cares unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. And so thankfully our community pulls together and wants what's best for the children. Thank you so much.
Doing okay, Mayor? All right. Let me ask, I think we have some representatives here for, this is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and if you would come up and we'll present this proclamation to you all. Thank you for being here. You all with Ralph? Good for you all. Good to have you here. Morning. It's a proclamation whereas Sexual Assault Awareness Month is intended to draw attention to the fact that sexual violence is widespread and has public health implications for every community member of the City of Jackson and County of Madison. And whereas rape, sexual assault, and sexual harassment impact our communities as seen by statistics, indicating that 1 in 5 women will have experienced sexual assault by the time they complete college, and that 235 West Tennessee victims of sexual assault were served by RAP from July 2015 through February 2016. Whereas we must work together to educate our communities about what can be done to prevent sexual assault and how to support survivors. And whereas staff and volunteers of Women's Resource and Rape Assistance Program encourage every person to speak out when witnessing acts of violence, however small. And whereas with leadership, dedication, and encouragement, we can be successful in reducing sexual violence in the City of Jackson and the County of Madison through prevention, education, increased awareness, and holding perpetrators who commit acts of violence responsible for their actions. Whereas the City of Jackson, the County of Madison strongly supports the efforts of national, state, and local partners and of every citizen to actively engage in conversations about what sexual violence is, how to prevent it, and how to help survivors connect with services. Now therefore, we, Jerry Guest, Mayor of the City of Jackson, Tennessee, and Jimmy Harris, Mayor of Madison County, Tennessee, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2016 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month and urge all citizens to join ROUT and all support services programs in the belief that all community members must be part of the solution to end sexual violence. So thank you for what you do, ROUT, and everyone concerned. And let the honor for me to present you on behalf of the council and ask you to come up.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the mayor and our little mayor for today. 1 in 3 women actually would experience some type of violence in their lives, and 1 in 4 men. When you think about those statistics, they are very, very frightening. This not only plagues our hometown, but the nation, all over the world. This is an issue that we need to continue to address. And I am so grateful that we have such a great city, the city of Jackson, our council members, everyone who joined together with this proclamation. As we know, this affects not only women in intimate partner relationships, but men, our children, as Carl Perkins would know. This affects everyone. So it's not just one person's issue. This belongs to all of us to hold abusers accountable for their actions. So I challenge each and every one of you today to go out and spread the word about awareness, about sexual assault. It has to end, and making sure that everyone knows that they are supported and that they have resources available to them. So I'm so grateful to Mayor for allowing us to come up this morning, and I thank each and every one of you, and I challenge you to continue to help prevent sexual assault.
Okay, item 7 is we have about 3 recognitions this morning that we want to ask to come up. We have Daniel Crossett with the Jackson Roadrunners Running Club that has asked to appear before the council. Dan, come on up.
Never done this, so is this where I go?
No, you have a seat right there and talk
Okay.
right into that microphone. You'll be good to go.
All right. I'm speaking kind of a self-appointed for the Jackson Roadrunners and also the Jackson Spokes, the cyclists. Could I get the people that came to support me to stand up so you can see we have some people? If you would stand, that we have some support here for this.
Thank you all for being here.
I know you have a lot to do today, so I appreciate you letting me speak, and I'll try not to take too long, but I would like to bring up a few points that I think that you are on the right track of doing, and we appreciate it. I'm sure right now you're seeing more and more runners and cyclists in your communities. It's a very growing thing, and this has been a very healthy-minded group here that have supported this community. I run with different groups. I run out south, I run out north, I run in Midtown around the hospital, run in all different parts of the city with different groups. So I know there's people running everywhere. There's cyclists that are that are biking everywhere, and I bike also. When you bike all the way through the whole city, so you see the entire city when you bike. Right now, what you've done on Hollywood has been great to let us go from downtown to get us a path out north with the path on Hollywood. And this is all because of your accomplishments, and we appreciate that. The city's given us some great parks to do some running and walking in, and out at Melissa's is a good one, a great one. North Park is a great one, and we appreciate those, just to name a couple. And we're very proud of the award-winning city that we have with the lift that you've created down there. It's become a catalyst for a lot of events, and it's working very well. On a regular basis, at the shoe store and at the bike shops, people come in and say, "Where's a safe place I can go run? Where's a safe place I can ride my bikes? These are people that are just starting out. These are people that are new to town, or very importantly, these are people that's looking to move into Jackson. Thankfully, we have some safe places for these, to tell these people where to go. But we have a lot of work to do on the bike and running safety in this city. Just recently, we've had a biker hit and we've had a runner hit by cars. And I think everybody that stood up that is running and biking regular could tell you of some horror stories of being hit or close calls. So safety is very, very important to us, and we ask for you to consider that on anything that you have available coming up. I'm not here today to ask for anything in specific. I'm just asking you to expand on the accomplishments that you've made for us. We're hoping to see more trails designated, more paths on these wider streets designated, and any grants that you see that could help, we ask that you apply for those and make the matching money so we can get these in place in Jackson. Some simple things right now would be some signage, some striping of our wider streets that we have, trying to get some paths from one place to the other. Would also help with the commuters of town, so they could, so we can improve and increase the people that are walking or biking to work. The city has supported the bicycle races that we have each year downtown, and that has become a very premier event. This coming weekend, we have the 44th annual Jackson Marathon. It's the Andrew Jackson Marathon, the oldest one in the state. It is our last year on our certification on our course going out of Union. Don't know what the future of this is going to be, but I would like to see the Andrew Jackson Marathon become a premier event, such as our cycling races downtown. And that's going to take a lot of support from the city and you on the council. We appreciate the support that you have given us. All runners and cyclists appreciate what you have done to make Jackson more attractive to runners and bikers. And I hope we can work together in the future to keep this momentum going. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Thank you very much. We have some representatives of the Star Center here. I think Dave Bratcher is here to address the council. Morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor and members of the council.
Morning.
On behalf of our board of directors and the 140-plus folks that call the Star Center home every day, I just want to say thank you. We don't take the investment that you make in the Star Center for granted. There's a lot of great organizations that also receive funding, but there's a whole bunch that don't. And so we feel like we have an obligation to come and report back. What do we do with the money? And so I wanted to just give you a couple of highlights that are different from last year, the areas of growth that we've experienced. The first one is, I think it's important to understand that our mission is to help any person with any disability to realize their potential. One of the ways that we do that is through training those with disabilities to re-enter the workforce. And so this year, this fiscal year, we will place 78 people into work that were not working previously. The second thing is every week we serve about 160 students that are struggling to read. This year, for the first time, we carried our literacy lab off-site and we embedded it at Lincoln Elementary. And we're serving over 80 kids there every week during the school day. It was 100% donor funded, and it's moving the needle in literacy. And we're looking for ways to expand that. The other thing is Project Search. This is a collaborative between ourselves, VR, which is the State Vocational Rehabilitation, West Tennessee Healthcare, and the school system in transitioning those with disabilities from school to work. It's been going on for a year. In May, we're going to have graduation, and our goal is that 100% of those 11 kids have a job. Because what we know is the sooner we can transition them from school to work, the more successful and the more long-standing that employment is going to be. The other thing that I think is important, there's a lot of nonprofits in town that do a lot of great things. We don't want to do what others are doing, but we do want to collaborate every chance that we get. And I'm so proud of the collaboration that's happened not only with the Jackson Arts Council, but also with Youthtown. We're providing art and music therapy to those at Jericho, at the original site, and also the girls at Eaton every week in walking alongside them, in helping them live into recovery and create a different future. We're thankful for your investment. We ask you to continue to do it, and we promise that we're going to come back every year and let you know what we did with it and what we're hoping to do with it in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Hey, Star Center is a big part of Jackson. We appreciate you and the board that work so diligently. We also have some members of the Arts Council here. Steve Raper is here. Melinda is here.
Good morning.
Good morning, Steve. How
We
are you?
appreciate the opportunity to be with y'all this morning. And on behalf of the Arts Council, we too want to express our gratitude and your support and funding of the Arts Council. We have several folks here from that are arts supporters, board members, and Arts Coalition members as well. And would ask them to stand, please.
Thank you all for being here.
We'll move on. I'll turn it over to our Executive Director, Melinda Hearn, to let you know how your funding has affected the arts in our community.
Thank you, Steve. We are currently preparing our art groups with our upcoming Jack Grant and ABC Grant by way of conducting workshops. And we wanted to take a quick second to reflect on the impact of those two grants and just how that really adds to the quality of life here in our great city. This past year, our ABC grant, we had 7 recipients receiving $10,115 in grant funding, a wide variety of arts events that I'm sure you all participated in, and it was a great draw for our city to have those visitors in town. Our Jack grant in 2015 also had 7 recipients, totaling $12,450 in grant funding, a wide variety of art groups as well, with diverse audiences, many reaching underserved, and additionally a great draw for our city. We did want to take a second to thank Ms. Vicki Foote for her support as our liaison with the council, and many of you all serve in various ways as far as arts, subscription members for symphony, for just a wide variety, whether it's for your kids, your grandkids, individually, yourself. And we do thank you for that support. Lastly, we do have some additional new news that's very exciting to share with you all. The Jackson Arts Council was selected to be one of 20 statewide partners with the Tennessee Arts Commission and Americans for the Arts to partner up with our local art groups to conduct an impact study. And that's called the Arts and Economic Prosperity Study, a national study measuring the economic impact of nonprofit arts and cultural organizations and their audiences. So we'll be conducting these surveys throughout this calendar year. The results of this national study will be released in June of 2017, and we'll be thrilled to share with you all that valuable information. So thank you all so much for all that you do, and we couldn't do it without you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melinda. Steve, thank you all. Thank you for what you do for the city. Arts Council is the umbrella for many of our local associations relative to the arts here in Jackson. We'll go to item 8 under first readings. Stan? This is consideration of an ordinance to rezone property located at the northwest corner of Pleasant Plains Road in McClellan from RS1 Single Family Residential District to OC Office Center District containing 2.96 acres, more or less, submitted by NCG Partners.
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Morning.
You have the materials pertinent to this rezoning request. This item was presented to the Planning Commission at their last meeting, and they are recommending denial of the rezoning to you. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, this is an ordinance on first reading, which necessitates a public hearing. And I'll go ahead and open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone present here who would like to speak in support of or in opposition to the passage of this ordinance. And as you wish to speak, if you would just hold your hand, I'll be happy to have you to come up.
Good morning, Mayor, members of the
Morning,
council.
Joe.
Good morning.
My name is Joel McAlexander. I've been an engineer and. We can't hear anything from your microphone.
Let me ask the IT guys to bump up the volume on the desk mics, if you would, or if you could.
Get right on. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
If they could shut the doors in the back. There we go.
Okay, let's try it again.
Hello? My name is, for the record, my name is Joel McAlexander. I believe I know most of you, but I've been an engineer, land developer in Jackson for approximately 40 years. Developed most of the subdivisions north of the interstate. Developed several of them in the area around this rezoning request. Back to the east of Pleasant Plains, we did Forest Point, Hunter's Green, Boxworth, Weather Ridge, Copper Creek, pretty much the whole block there. Back to the west, Willow Green, Cherry Point. Still working on Wind Chase, Wrights Mill. Got a new one started with my son. My son is the Grove. Did Oak Haven Estates out on Windy City Road, some really large houses. But through all this, I've had many builders, realtors, property owners approach me and ask, this is really nice, but we're really getting pretty far out. Is there any way to get any type of neighborhood business in this area? I pretty much that's not something I normally do. I'm more the residential developer, but in 2007, I believe it was, this piece of property came up for sale. I thought it had some potential, so I purchased it. Been paying taxes on it ever since and hadn't really known what I would do with it. But last year, a couple of things came up that made me put it back on the front burner. One, Mr. Ryan Higginbotham approached me about building a convenience store on this site. And after talking with him, he was willing to pretty much make all kind of commitments about what it would look like and lighting and signage and all that, so that I thought it would be attractive. And the second thing was that planning staff recommended to the Planning Commission, and they adopted a land use plan for Jackson. And the land use plan for this showed this corner as future. Well, me and Stan have a disagreement on what it means, but on the land use plan, it's stated that it's neighborhood commercial. So I assume neighborhood commercial meant neighborhood commercial. It's a 3-acre site. Ryan needs a little over an acre for a convenience store. And I felt good enough about the property that I committed to build a little strip shopping center on the remainder of the property. It would own a couple of shopping centers on Van Drive and have some tenants that were excited about the thought of going out there, have a bakery, and we've talked to nurseries and medical, minor medical, and then, of course, with all the activity out there, it's easy to get a mortgage company, real estate company, insurance company, that type use. So with that in mind, we prepared a site plan, went through all the approvals with the engineering department to get the access points right, turning lanes, drives. Made sure that JEA was satisfied that they could serve it with everything, and then work with planning as far as working out the lot coverage, the green spaces, the parking requirements, the drainage, the stormwater retention. We even went as far as to get the stacking lanes for drive-throughs, location of fuel tanks for the gas pumps. You had to locate them so that they could be refueled without impeding the traffic throughout the center. So we felt like we had everything worked out, and unfortunately, I guess Planning Commission didn't agree with us. But we felt like we did everything that we could possibly do, and we're just asking that y'all rezone the property, the OC, so that we could go ahead with our plans. And I've sat here this morning hearing people ask you for money for walking trails and running trails, and Exchange Club and Star Club and Arts Council, and money's got to come from somewhere. And this project will cost probably about $5 million. And at the assessed value and the tax rate, that generates like 40 grand for the city annually, so, and the same amount for the county. And we just feel like we've done everything that we could do and don't know exactly why there's so much opposition, but unfortunately there is. And that's pretty much all I've got, and Mr. Higginbotham is the representative of the convenience store, and I know he would like to say a few words.
Good morning, City Council, Mayor, and Little Mayor. That's so neat that you guys are giving him an opportunity to do this and see government work. It's just wonderful. I don't see that in very many city councils that I go to. Again, my name is Ryan Higginbotham. I'm with Cox Oil Company. I'm the Director of Business Development for our company. I am a third-generation owner and operator in our company. Our start in the oil business started when my grandfather came back from World War II and hauled fuel with his father to local farmers in Mount Vernon, Illinois, using a single axle wagon. So our family in the oil business has been around for quite some time. We own 48 stores located here in West Tennessee. Those are all company-operated stores with over 500 employees. Talk about a little bit about our business so you can understand. Obviously, our business really is based off of our inside sales, our food in particular. We have a proprietary program called Clucker's Tennessee Fried Chicken that we have not only in all of our stores, but we also franchise that out through the state of Tennessee. That's been in business now for nearly 25 years. Nearly 3 years ago, I started kind of an ambitious re-imaging of our stores. Obviously, when someone thinks of convenience stores, the imagery that comes to mind is usually, to be quite honest, a negative one, and I can certainly understand that. Our goal with our re-imaging was that if you took our gas canopy and our fueling stations away, you would be reminded more of a restaurant feel than you would a convenience store. And we spent a little over $2 million in the last 3 years re-imaging now 35 of our 48 sites. Our ideal customer is a mother or father, or for that matter, a teenager in the mornings coming in and getting a chicken on a roll, and then that mother and father coming back home trying to find a meal for their family. And that's something that certainly our delis can provide for them. What led me to this property, first and foremost, is our relationship with the city of Jackson already. We have sites within Jackson and outside of Jackson. We've had a wonderful relationship with you all for many, many years. The demographics in this area is very much on par with some of our existing sites. 85% of our stores are in areas of 5,000 people or less. In this certain site here, there are 1,300 homes within just 1 mile of this site. A 3-mile radius of this site, there's over 26,000 people. So when you look at a store, or especially a site much like this, it certainly makes me a believer in the fact that this is already something that we've done in 85% of our stores already. The median income, in particular the continued growth in this area, is what has led me to this site. I was actually somewhat surprised when I first contacted Joel about this site that it was actually not zoned commercial. To be quite honest with you, I was a little surprised by that, given the fact that of the traffic counts of over 10,000 people, or 10,000 cars a day, and the fact that it has a lit intersection. I was a little bit surprised by that, but that's obviously why we're here today. And obviously with the continued growth in that area, the need for business services will continue to grow as well. Again, if there's ever a company or a development of this sort, I can speak on my behalf in saying I don't believe the city would find a better partner than Cox Oil Company and Special Little General Convenience Stores for a site like this. We're very proud of our history, the fact that we are a rarity in our business, that we are company-operated stores. We have no dealers in our stores, and we're very proud of that. It's a lot more overhead, obviously, to run a business that way. But I'm reminded today that my uncle, who started this company in 1970, on September 1st, the night before he started this company, he said a prayer. And his prayer was that if God continued to grow and bless his company, that he would give everyone an opportunity that wanted to grow with our company that chance. And I'm asking for that chance again today. We have many people within our company, deli managers, store managers. My uncle has done a wonderful job of sharing the revenue that we produce in our stores. Last year alone, we had profit sharing of over $750,000 back to our deli managers, our store managers. I would say on a site much like this, probably be 20 to 25 jobs in a site like this, not counting obviously what Joel is discussing in the other part of the development. Also, we understand that in a neighborhood much like this, that giving back is obviously important. Just over the last 10 years, we've given back nearly $800,000 to local charities, a lot of those that are here in Jackson, to continue to prop up organizations that we believe in. Our business record is proven. We are as solid as a financial company as you'll find in any industry. And our business plan for this development in this area is to design, which I believe we have, a very tastefully done store that would be suitable for a neighborhood of this character and this caliber. I thank you all for the opportunity to come and speak with you today, and I'm open to any questions that you may have.
I have a question, Mr. Higginbotham, is that
Yes,
right?
yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
It is a beautiful building. Is that a brick facade?
Yes.
Okay.
It's brick and stucco facade, yes.
Okay. You mentioned it would create 20 to 25 jobs. What about, are you talking about the construction of it?
No,
Okay.
actually, once we open up. yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
in the construction, would you be using local?
We would bid that out
people?
to whoever, especially anybody local that could do that,
Okay, about
yes.
how many jobs would that probably?
On an average site like that, that'd probably be 50 to 75 jobs at
Okay.
least.
Okay.
Any other questions from council?
How close is the closest residence to this store?
Let me address that with the land use, because Joel mentioned that, and I just wanted to explain that a little bit to you. With the civic master plan, we adopted a land use plan that went along with the goals and objectives of the civic master plan. And what Joel is referring to as a neighborhood commercial zone is a category under the new land use plan. And all that is a category. It means that this is a holder for neighborhood level non-residential uses. Now, zoning is what determines what is done on the property. Just like the commercial zone you see to here, as you can see, the bypass is right here. This is the site. So we're not far from a commercial district that's already zoned, already there. We'd welcome a little general building, a convenience store there. It's already in a commercial area. But that's a category, but in that category, you don't see the various zoning designations that are within that commercial district, and it's the same with this. And when we presented this to the Planning Commission, we told them that this was office only. We told them that that was the reason for the change in the land use, that we were not supportive of commercial, and we have always taken that position that we felt that commercial was inappropriate at this corner, but we felt like office could be appropriate. So I just want to clarify that for you, and I'll be happy to answer any other questions about the land use. But the residential, to answer your question, Johnny, you can see the lots right across the street. So these houses are right across the street.
I have a question, if I may.
Go
Good
ahead,
morning.
Councilman.
Stan, what type of a response have you received from the neighbors?
The calls that I received are all been negative, opposed to it. I probably received anywhere from 10 to a dozen calls, all opposed to the convenience store. All felt that it was not appropriate at this corner, and given the traffic level at this intersection, felt that that would be a problem.
Thank you.
But you think they wouldn't be opposed to office buildings? Is that-
Most of the ones I talked to didn't really have a problem with office because they recognize that office has generally daytime hours and are not there at night, and the traffic generation of office is lower, and they come in at different times. It's not a peak kind of time like in the morning with a convenience store. So most that I talked to weren't really opposed to that. They just thought a convenience store was just too intensive.
Stan,
Councilman?
when you talk about traffic count of what the convenience store would add, what the traffic count is, what already is out there now during those hours?
Do I know what the exact traffic
Well,
count?
just kind of what the convenience store with continuous traffic would add to what's already out there.
I really don't have those traffic generation numbers. I just know, given commercial uses versus office, the main thing with offices are they're usually low employment. They don't have that many workers. They don't have people really coming at peak times like a convenience store in the morning where everybody's getting, their biscuit or their coffee. You have peak times. With office, it's distributed across the day, so you really don't have a whole lot of cars generated by them. So just by nature, office is a whole lot lower traffic generation than what commercial would be.
Any other questions from council?
One more. So how is this zoned?
Right now, it's residential.
Residential, commercial?
No, residential. The land
It was
uses,
never worded residential, commercial.
no, the residential is a given because the zoning for
And
the,
why would office buildings be allowed there?
it would not be. The land use plan is just a guide. It's looking into the future, and it's saying that office could be a future appropriate use for this property, but that doesn't mean that this property can't be used residential right now. It just means if in the future, if you so felt that way, you could zone it with an office classification, but right now, nothing can be done except for residential.
Well, we have an awful lot of names that were turned into as the people that want this in that area, but I'm sure there are a lot of people who do not want this. I don't doubt that at all. So maybe if some of those people want to speak, it might help us or something, but I don't have any more questions.
Stan, I have a question. Is there a site in this general vicinity that's kind of tentatively set aside for future commercials that's not there now?
On the land use plan, of course, there's areas that we have shown as appropriate. What we did with this land use plan that's not reflected in this one is when we developed this plan, we looked at the area around Windy City and Ashport and also Windy City and McClellan. We felt like commercial was more appropriate. Convenience commercial or neighborhood commercial was more appropriate out there because it was at the periphery and it was not right in the middle of the residential developments. So that's where we said it was appropriate. So it's not that we haven't given opportunity. It's not that we haven't given the appropriate places for commercial to go. In fact, there's existing zoning that doesn't even have anything to do with the land use that would be to the east of here that could accommodate this use right now. So we're always welcome of commercial development. We feel it has a place. We just don't feel that this is the place.
Of course, from a business standpoint, they like this place because it would do
Well,
the most
and
business than the others.
if you just weighted solely on that, and that's the balance point that you're always trying to find between zoning and development is what's good for the developer versus what's good for the neighborhood. And you try to find that balance point to where it's not leaned totally on development. It's not pro-development to all costs, and you're not anti-development and favor just the developments or the residential developments. So you try to find a balance point, and that's why we felt like office was a balance point. It recognized that residential might not be the most desirable here because of the traffic, but it recognized that commercial was too intensive for this corner.
Okay. Any other questions for council while we have developers here? If not, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you all for your time.
We're in a public hearing, and let me ask if there's anyone else who would like to come up and address the council, either in opposition of or in support of. Yes, come on up. If you would, come up and just identify yourself for the record, and
My name's Mark Thompson. I live 3/4 of a mile down from this corner on McClellan Road. And there's 4 churches within.
Lean in the microphone.
Okay.
Yeah, speak up.
There's 4 churches within less than a mile of this corner. And there's also 3 private schools with, I know, 2 within a mile and 1 within probably 3 miles of this corner. And traffic out there now is pretty bad, to say the least. And we just don't need this store in this area. There's several people here from the adjoining neighborhoods. You can all stand.
okay, thank you all.
So
Thank you.
I know he said he had 75 signatures on a petition, but we hadn't had a chance to come up with that. But we would have a lot more than 75 against it. Did mention the point of him probably selling beer and cigarettes, and we just don't need that in the area. With all the youth around that area and stuff, traffic, we just don't need it. And we enjoy our neighborhood, we enjoy getting to see the deer, and we don't need this development out there. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Thompson. Continuing the public hearing, is there anyone else who would like to speak in support of or in opposition to the passage of this ordinance on first reading? Yes, sir, come on. You want to address the council? Just identify yourself, if you would, please, sir, for the record.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name's Ray Suzor. I live in Shiloh Springs, and I moved there about 3 years ago. Currently, I've got a grandson that's about a quarter mile away from this location. I'm teaching him how to drive. We have many schools in this area with student drivers, and I am very concerned about safety. And not only safety, you look at these neighborhoods, and the property value for those houses will be severely affected. And yes, I understand people looking for profit, but this is not the place to make profit. You're making profit at the expense of neighborhoods, and it's wrong. Profit's not everything. Neighborhoods are more important. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Mayor, if I could, I want to mention one other thing. rezonings, that another thing to keep in mind, and this is one of the things that came forth in the Planning Commission, and I just wanted to mention it. Right now, they're looking at a site that's about 3 acres, and for some, that might not seem like a large tract of land, but surrounding this tract is larger pieces of property. And if a property is zoned, then similarly situated pieces of property can also petition. And once they petition, if you've already zoned one, then we can't deny them similar consideration. So it's when we look at it, it's, sometimes people don't understand why we're opposed to something or why we're not in favor of certain things, is because we have to look broadly and look at the big picture, and it's not just 3 acres, it's what could happen in the future to other additional properties if this were zoned.
Well, Stan, just my final thing I want to say is I just think it's so sad that there's been such a misunderstanding that this company, which sounds like a fine company to me, have gone to all this work, trouble, cost. I hope there's never this kind of misunderstanding
Well-
again. There must be something, and I'm not blaming you, I
Yeah.
don't mean that, but I mean, I just wish it could be clear in the future. So
Well,
that we don't
let
have this.
me
It's pretty
state,
embarrassing
just so you
to me.
know, it has always been clear, and we met with Ryan early on when they were looking at this and told them that we could not support it, told them that we would recommend denial. They met with the mayor, and the mayor had a discussion with them about, he didn't feel like that was appropriate there too. So it's not, there hasn't been any misinformation or confusion. We've said from the very beginning that we were opposed to commercial, that we could not support commercial, and we felt the convenience store was not a good use for this site. So we always tell people going into rezonings exactly where we stand, exactly how we're going to recommend, because we don't want any confusion. So it's been clear from the beginning.
I would like to say, to do all respect to the community that don't want it in their community. We have convenience stores. They're brought up about churches, they're brought up about convenience stores and schools. And we have them all over our city. I thought accommodations were a lot of what communities all wanted, but they're concerned about just that one particular community. I can respect that. But as you ride down other parts of the community, we have convenience stores all over our city, and I can understand it says more, they don't want it in their community, or it's gonna be beer selling and things like that. I think we need to start looking all over our city when we start putting convenience stores in, that we do the same respect all over our city. Because, what's good for one community should be fair to all communities. And no disrespect for what they want, I can understand that and the value of their homes, but, just to say, I don't want it because of schools, and there's 4 schools in this community. I got a son that had to learn how to drive before. Traffic in our community is heavy too. So, I respect their decision. I want it there, but we just still got to think about that also.
So Councilman Dodge, you wouldn't mind having a convenience store across from your house then?
Councilman, I have, when you could drive down East Chester, it's about 4.
Right across from your house?
Probably 5 stores down East Chester, and you got
Right
several
across
houses.
from your house?
Well, I'm not talking about my house. There's 5 going down East Chester, you go down there, selling beer, and there's churches on the same street.
Well, I'm 4 houses away from 2 convenience stores. It hasn't been a problem, but I respect people for whom they feel it would be. I respect you for that.
Okay, continuing the public hearing, well, if you'd identify yourself for the record, please.
My name is Sheila Godwin. I am a affiliate broker, licensed realty. I have been a realty in the 90s for my Cramrock Real Estate One and other realty companies, All Star, and I also worked in Memphis, Tennessee. As I sit here and listen to this, I have some questions and comments, but I would like to say, as a realtor, you have property less than half a mile right down the street that's zoned for the use that Mr. Alexander wants zoned. So to say that it's in the neighborhood, when you study zoning up and down Van Drive, less than, again, half a mile down the street, you have areas that's zoned for commercial as well as office area. And that location, and then when you say about a store, you have a store right there on the corner of Walker Road and Van Drive that is commercial. You have several stores and you have several office spaces. And I do understand the community, and I understand how they feel about the store being there. But at the same time, traffic is still heavy when you go all the way down to the columns, right down the street. You have commercial property, and you have a neighborhood there. So to say that this will affect that, to me, as city council people, you should do research. I don't see, it should not affect it no more than it affected right down the street. And you study building office space right down Van Drive at Merchants Bank and all the other. So how are you gonna let Mr. Joel and Alexander spend money and say you cannot do this even though it's residential? I don't understand. And like I said, I'm a licensed realtor. And again, I don't see to say it's churches, that is not enough reason. When you have other stuff, you're allowing other people to do commercial property and office space less than a half a mile down the street. And that's.
Okay, thank you, Ms.
That's all I
Godwin.
have to say.
Anyone else who would like to speak on this matter, either in support of or in opposition to?
Seeing no one, I'd like to make a motion that we deny the request to rezone.
Second.
Okay, let me close the public hearing. We have a motion and a second. We'll declare the public hearing closed. We have a motion to deny petition. Any discussion from council? Hearing none, council, please vote.
If we vote yes, that's a vote to deny, correct?
That's correct.
And the vote to deny passes with 6 members in favor, 1 against, and 2 abstain.
Okay. Thank you.
Mayor, if also, in the new business, item 1 under new business, we've got several elderly people here that it might be beneficial to move that up so that they can be here for that, if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah. Any objection from council? We're gonna move item 1 on new business as our next item to.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Stan.
Thank you.
First item under new business, consideration of resolution proposed by Council Member Ernest Brooks II to designate LaBelle Street as John Austin Worthing Senior Boulevard.
Mayor, I'm going to let the crowd clear first.
Yep.
And would like to thank Councilman Wallace for bringing that to our attention.
That's right. When they pour, I spilled mine at the very first meeting. Not that bad, but
Oh, I've turned a cup of coffee
I
over
had
before.
a little in my cup, and I turned my cup on.
I had a full cup. Luckily, I spilled it toward Randy.
And once the last person leaves, we would
Okay.
ask that they would shut the door, and we'll wait for this gentleman here.
Harvey, if you can get everyone else, then pull the door too. Thank you, sir.
Pull
Councilman
that mic
Brooks.
toward you, Ernest. Pull your mic to you.
Morning, Mayor and Council. Today is a great day. A great day for education, a great day for Lane College, a great day for the Jackson-Madison County School System, a great day for Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, a great day for Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church, a great day for the African American community, a great day for Jackson. We are here this morning to honor John Austin Worthing Sr. Mr. Worthing has meant so much to so many and has taught or been principal to many in this room. Additionally, his family was an anchor in the East Jackson community for many years. And as proof that Councilman Harvey Buchanan is older than me, Mr. Worthing was my junior high principal, and he was Harvey's elementary school principal. So today,
Thank you, sir.
So today it is my honor to begin the first phase of the rededication of LaBelle Street to honorary John Austin Worthing Senior Boulevard. The actual rededication will take place later this summer. It was Nelson Mandela who said, "Education is the most powerful weapon to which you can change the world." Mr. Worthing, through his life's work, has indelibly and perpetually changed the city of Jackson. I would like to ask the following groups to please stand that are here on his behalf for this celebration. First, Mr. Worthing's former students and teachers. Lane College alumni. Men of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Members of Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church. Family, friends, and supporters. And last but not least, the Worthing family and Mr. John Worthing. And the resolution reads as follows. A resolution to honor John Austin Worthing Sr. by designating LaBelle Street as John Austin Worthing Sr. Boulevard. Whereas Jackson City Councilman Ernest Brooks II of District 3 has requested that LaBelle Street be designated as John Austin Worthing Sr. Boulevard. And whereas John Austin Worthing Sr. has been an educator, mentor, and community leader for over 40 years, affecting the lives of thousands of students, staff, and families as a teacher and later principal in the Jackson-Madison County school system. And whereas he is a proud graduate of Lane College, past president of the Jackson Tennessee Lane College Alumni Association, served in many capacities with the National Lane College Alumni Association, and served on the Lane College Board of Trustees. And whereas he has been a loyal member of Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church for 65 years and dutifully served his country as a member of the United States Army. And whereas in an effort to recognize his lifelong contributions to our community, and therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Jackson, Tennessee, that LaBelle Street be officially designated as John Austin Worthing Sr. Boulevard. And I present that as a motion to the Jackson City Council.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion from council. Council, please vote.
And the vote is unanimous.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Now I would like to recognize his daughter, Gloria, and our honoree for the morning, Mr. John Austin Worthing Sr. Have a seat. Gloria, just have a seat at the table, you and Mr. Worthing.
Mr. John, we're going to let you sit
Right.
here at the podium.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First, giving honor to God. I am before you to bring greetings and heartfelt thanks to the Honorable Mayor Jerry Gist, our little mayor for the day, Councilman Ernest Brooks II of District 3, all City Council members of Jackson, Tennessee, elected officials, Jackson Personnel City, and the great citizens of Jackson, Tennessee. On behalf of the great Mr. John Alston Worthing Sr., we would like to express our heartfelt thanks to City Councilman Ernest Brooks II of District 3 for sponsoring this resolution. We thank you, City Council, for the approval. As we have been made aware of, that our father is a community treasure and a champion for education. Even during the basketball game last night, the championship game, he interrupts us with a champion of education conversation. So we've come before you, thanking you again, the Worthing family, my mother, his wife of 63 years, Mrs. Sally Worthing, who's also a lifelong educator, daughters, myself, Mrs. Gloria Worthing Reynolds, our sister, Mrs. Mavis Worthing Lloyd, our brother, Mr. John Worthing Jr., our dad's sister, Mrs. Eula Whitaker, niece, Dr. Paula Watkins, and nephew and wife, Mr. and Mrs. James Alston Whitaker. We're honored and we say thank you for this confirmation, rededication of LaBelle Street to John Alston Worthing Sr. Boulevard. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. John, it's your time now.
Thank you. I feel because of what I just received, I want to thank you. Sometimes I want to take Harvey back in the room and kind of put a paddle on him. Because this is what his dad told me to do. If Harvey doesn't obey you, you take that paddle and put it on him. And I did that. But I've been associated with Jackson for many years. I'm a native of Lexington, Tennessee, but I came here to Lane College, and I remained in Jackson since that time. Meeting my lovely wife in college, that we've been, as been stated, we've been married 63 years. I know most of you, Councilman, and I appreciate you, and you just don't know how I really feel for your approval of naming LaBelle Street John A. Worthing Sr. Boulevard. There are many students here, many friends, church members. I have some ministers that are here that been friends of mine for years. I look to them. I taught Councilman Brooks' mother and father, both were there. In that they were good students, as you well know. Both of them received a doctorate degree from Ohio State University. And that was done at Mary High School here in Jackson, Tennessee. Yes, it was not done at JCM, but at Mary High School. I don't know how long I have to speak, but I taught education for a long time. I was a principal of 5 schools, starting out at Washington Douglas, moving to Mary Junior High School, taught at Mary High School, principal of Mary Junior High School, Open Parkway as a brand new school, and I opened Northeast Middle School as a brand new school. At that time, a great friend of mine and some of you that I worked with was a friend of Fred Stanley, one of the most outstanding superintendents that you could have in the city of Jackson. He didn't know much about black folks at that time. He was from Alamo, Tennessee, in Crockett County. So Alec Moore, the former principal, and I were the oldest one, so he took us under his wing, and just before he became superintendent, for a year, he simply courted us to find out about what goes on in the black schools, because he did not really know. So we told him, and he learned from that. Fred Stanley made a lot of changes in the policies of the Jackson City Schools. I'll give you one or two. There was a secretary that would send letters out to the principal. And this secretary would always send letters to the black principal, Professor John Worthing, and to the white principal, Mr. So-and-so whoever it is, and Fred Stanley changed that. Fred Stanley also changed that the principal were in charge of the school. At that time, supervisors were in the schools telling teachers what to do, what not to do. So he changed that, say the principal is in charge of the school. Let me tell you this story. There was no better school, elementary school, than Washington Douglas Elementary School. You could not find a better school.
Yes, sir.
And
That's right, Mercy.
I taught a lot of students, outstanding students that attended Mary High School. Then I went to Mary Junior High School. I had about 700 students, no assistant principal, so I adopted me a couple of assistant principals, and Tom Cobb and Roy David Manuel, and they helped me. And I wish you could see those students perform when they were going. We had to move outside to go to the gymnasium for our assembly. So we organized a formation for these students to move orderly to the gymnasium. Moving to Parkway, my wife had no deal, said to me, "You're not going to be principal of Parkway Junior High School." I said, "Yes, I am." Meantime, she did not know Fred Stanley had given me the blueprints to look at and try to design a program for the school. So I went there. When I went there, I had about 75% Caucasian teachers and about 35% African American teachers. We brought those teachers together, and those teachers loved the students. My emphasis was always on the students. I wish I had brought a letter that I received from a teacher that left me. He did not like so much what was going on. He had two positions. He was in a sports position, and he was in a teaching position. So sometimes coaches, thought they could take over a school in that way. But he left me, and he went out to another system, and he became an administrator. And he wrote back to me and said, I had tunnel vision. He had tunnel vision because my ideas, my open was for the students. I brought students together at Parkway. The students had dances. The black students danced with the white students, and so on down the line. We did this for years. No other school was doing this. I did not have to use a policeman to come out to the school to monitor the students. We did that ourselves. I had teachers that were so involved in that. One thing that made the school is that I had fantastic teachers. I had fantastic parents who supported the school in this way. And I think the mayor left his daughters at Parkway Junior High School. Former Mayor Farmer left his daughter in Parkway Junior High School. In fact, he transferred his daughter from another school to Parkway. They left them there at the school. I don't know what happened as they went on, whether they remained in the system or not, but I do know that they stayed at Parkway Junior High School. I had students like Jordan Nathan Pride and attorney Mark Patey. I had to use the paddle on him sometime also. And George Little was one of the students. A fantastic group of students. These students simply got along together. They played together, they danced together. Part of that, they sent me out to Parkway Junior High School, Northeast Middle School. About a new student, I will carry some students, some teachers from Parkway out to Northeast. There was a group of white teachers that came to me from Northside Junior High School. Had no problem gelling them together with an organization that loved the students. I can't tell you all the stories, all the things that happened, but I could spend all day telling you.
Don't do that, Mr. Word.
How I enjoyed being a teacher.
Yes, sir.
I thought about being a preacher.
You've still got time.
I think you could have done it.
But I said, no, I'm going to teach.
Yes, sir.
And that's the story almost. I started teaching chemistry, biology, chemistry, and physics. The doctors, the lawyers, and other areas that my students went into. Thank you again for this great honor.
Sir, I just
Mr. John,
want to
we are-
say that my husband was one of those
Never
white
forget it.
teachers.
That's
My husband was one of those white teachers that came out to Northeast,
What was his name?
Hicksfoot.
Hick?
Worked
yeah.
there
Oh,
with you.
yes.
You were his
I
example,
re-
and
I
then
remember
later
Hick. That's
he
right.
got to be principal of Northeast, but
He
he's
said-
always said you were his example.
Thank you very much.
Mr. John, we just want you to know that it's an honor well deserved. The office will be back in contact with you and your family as far as the actual dedication day and time, and what all will take place there. I need you to remember, just in order to keep you a little humble, the old adage goes, I know you stand on the shoulders of Sally, but the old adage goes, behind every successful man, there's a surprised woman.
One of 63 years.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
very much.
Mayor, if I can make one observation, Mr. Worthing. Today was about you, and when you spoke, you made it about everybody that you came along the way with. And that's what a servant is. And to the Worthing family, thank you so much for sharing John and Sally with us. We adore them, and they mean so much to the city of Jackson. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Okay, I think we can go back up to item 2. Under first readings, consideration of an ordinance to amend or modify the municipal code relative to motor vehicles, traffic, and parking, Title 15, Chapter 9, Section 15, Title 9, Chapter 9, parking meters, Section 15. Ms. Bell.
As I stated in agenda review, this is basically just a change in procedure where that the acceptance of these will now be at the Jackson Police Department rather than the Revenue Office. This is in order to keep the customer constituent from having to go back and forth between the Revenue Office and the Jackson Police Department to file the information. It'll all be done at the Jackson Police Department. Ron Adams is here if you have any questions about it, but basically it's just a procedural change to accommodate the customers.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve, and a second. This is an ordinance on first reading, so we'll need to open the public hearing. Ask if there's anyone here who would like to speak in support of or in opposition to the passage of this ordinance on first reading. Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. We have a motion and a second. Council, please vote.
And the vote is unanimous.
Item 3, consideration of an ordinance to amend modified municipal code relative to business, peddlers, solicitors, etc., Title 9, Chapter 1, Section 101, 104, and 106.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This is an ordinance on first reading. We'll have the public hearing, declare it open, ask if there's anyone who would like to speak in support of or in opposition to the passage of this ordinance on first reading. Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Council, please vote.
And the vote is unanimous.
Item 9 is we have a second reading, consideration of an ordinance to amend modified municipal code relative to business, peddlers, and solicitors, Title 9, Chapter 1, Section 9, 104, the Jackson Municipal Code in relation to license assurance for solicitors. This is the ordinance on second reading. It's been passed. We have a motion.
Second.
And we have a second. Discussion. Council, please vote.
And the vote is unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garrett. Going to item 2, under new business, reappointment of Al Laffoon, position of city recorder.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Council, please vote. Back in, Al.
And the vote is unanimous.
Glad to have you back, Al.
Yeah.
Item 3 is consideration of contract award for street resurfacing. Swipe.
Y'all are going so fast, I thought you might approve it without me saying anything.
But we received bids on the
I
street.
can't hear you, Ms. White, I'm sorry.
They're close. There you go.
We received bids.
You go into that mic.
Can you hear
Down
me?
in there.
No, I'm okay. We received bids on the street resurfacing, received a bid from Ford and one from Delta. Delta was the lowest and best bid, and the engineering and purchasing departments recommend that you approve this contract.
Do we have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second.
Question on the motion,
Uh-huh.
with respect to, Mr. Chandler, which streets are gonna be resurfaced? Has that been determined yet?
Yes, it has. We're basically finishing up the remaining money that we had in the budget. We started in the fall, and now this is our spring. So these streets will be resurfaced between now and June 30th, and I have a list here that I can get with any one of you to go over. I was able to contact a few of you and talk to you beforehand, and some I didn't get a hold of. So
Scott,
if you
there
have any
will,
questions.
there will be another resurfacing program after July 1, and the budget is.
Yes, when the new budget money is approved, and we'll be developing another round of streets to try to get resurfaced in the fall.
Scott, it seems that every year we kind of scramble to spend the money we have, and that kind of spreads the street resurfacing out when we have some arterial streets that are in bad need of some rebuilding, some repaving. What's our long-term plan on actually making a plan to tackle those streets without going over budget every year?
I spoke with Scott specifically about this the other day, because there's some streets in, there's streets in all of your districts that may rise to a level money-wise that keep getting those streets postponed off the list, because any one of those projects could take the majority share from the other potential streets or other districts being done. And so what we've done the past several years, we have done some arterial type streets, but when we have, sometimes we've either had more money dedicated for that year that we could do that one along with some other residential and other minor streets. But it's getting to the point where there's a pretty good list of arterials that reach that higher level, and we're probably going to need to be looking for either some dedicated funding for those, or the council is going to have to understand that one street in one district may take the majority share and leave the others without. So it's kind of getting us in a tough spot. Scott's got a couple that he mentioned he would rather have where he could bank a couple years. He understands he might have to do without 1 year in order to get a little bit get his true needs satisfied in year 2. But with the needs across the city, it's hard to ever guarantee, because we budget each year on a certain amount we're given, and so we try to craft the project that spreads out the best we can to get the most needs met throughout the city. And so overall, I hope we're doing a good job, but then understand that we're not covering all of the streets that are in need. So
As it relates to overlay, like we used to, we're not doing that anymore, right?
We're not getting that. We do overlay streets when we have the opportunity, but the years that existed prior to me being here, that advantage had been taken over and over and over, and we have so many streets.
It caused a lot of flooding. Overlay just
That's
put
right.
asphalt on the streets, it caused a lot of flooding.
Right, and so what we're running into is we touch a street that's been overlaid on a cheaper mechanism to get new asphalt down. We're the ones having to take the asphalt down from years past and then rebuild it back up, and so that costs more as well. But if we find streets, and we still do, in areas that do not have curb and gutter and don't have a problem with the overlay, if that's the best method and it's cheaper to do, then we certainly take advantage of that. But throughout town, most of the streets that we run into have the curb and gutters. The gutters have been filled in. It does cause a lot of drainage issues, and so we're trying to correct that as well.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, Ms. Anita, on the contract. Discussion, additional discussion. Not council, please vote.
And the vote is unanimous.
Item 4 is consideration of contract for Country Club Lane widening.
Bids were received on Country Club Lane widening. We had two. One was from Ford Construction and the other was from Delta Contracting. The lowest and best bid is from Ford Construction Company, and we recommend the award of that contract.
Move to second.
Okay, we have
Discussion.
a motion and a second for acceptance of contract. Discussion. Council, please vote.
And the vote is unanimous.
Thank you all. Item 5 is consideration of board appointments. Keep Jacksonville Commission, reappointment of the following. Sherry Taylor, we have a motion.
Second.
Second, discussion. Council, please vote.
Vote is unanimous.
We're also under Jackson Transit Authority, Board of Trustees, reappointment of the following. Mike Freeman.
Move to approve.
Motion made. Second, discussion. Council, please vote.
Vote is unanimous.
Item 6, budget amendments. Val?
We have two this morning. The first one is to the street resurfacing, some of the contracts that you just approved, the amount of $321,495 in the capital fund account to cover Butler Street, Lawrence Switch, and Country Club Lane repairs and Country Club Lane widening. This will be a draw on fund balance.
So moved.
Second.
A motion, second, discussion. Council, please vote.
And vote is unanimous.
The second amendment that we have today is also in the capital fund, and this is for the planning department for the purchase and replacement of a format plotter, $13,000. This will require a draw on fund balance.
So moved.
Motion, second. Council, discussion. Council, please vote.
And the vote is unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Val. Item 7 is consideration of invoices over $10,000.
So moved.
I think we have a motion and a second. Discussion. Council, please vote.
The vote is unanimous.
Thank you very much. There being no further business, meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
I wanted you to have an opportunity to say that they've known all along. I wanted you to say that, but it just